There are always concerns about all the quarterbacks we will see in round one. D. Wood, what is your biggest concern about Mac Jones?
Yeah, my biggest concern, can you win because of Mac Jones? Listen, he's been surrounded by great talent at Alabama, and he's very accurate with the football, high football IQ. But can he make those 2 or 3 plays in the game to put his team over the top? That remains to be seen.
Mike T., you're next. What is your biggest concern about Justin Fields?
Accuracy under pressure. Greeny, when you're breaking down quarterbacks, you're asking this question about each and every one of them. And if you go to your Northwestern Huskies Wildcats, and how he played, he only completed 44% of his passes in that game, and that would be a concern. That Northwestern game showed some concerns about accuracy under pressure.
And then Bart, how about Zach Wilson, future Jets quarterback? What's your biggest concern?
Pain, Greeny. Pain. And I'm hoping that he doesn't have to deal with a lot of pain, because this offensive line is relatively the same as it was last year. They have to upgrade it, maybe a guy like Tevin Jenkins, so that they can lean on the running game and only make this kid have to throw the ball about, probably about 20 to 25 times a game. Protect him from himself until you can get a better roster around him, Greeny.
Everyone on this panel knows when you play in this market, man, you're in a pressure cooker, because it's a situation where one game you can have total, you just have total ecstasy as far as the reaction from fans, talk radio. But let you go on a 3-game losing streak and see what happens in this market. It'll feel like the end of the world around here. So, you got a rookie head coach, rookie quarterback. They're going to have to navigate these waters, because to me, this is the toughest market to play in.
Mike T., you know it well as well, and you made an interesting point this morning about the magnification of the attention.
He is in for a rude awakening. I thought his comments were somewhat naive. It's times 10 in New York. When it's great, it's times 10. When it's bad, it's times 10. Coach Parcells used to say there's 2 stages in New York: euphoria and disaster, and nothing in between.
Reminds me of my entire fandom, my entire life. Now, Bart, you're still around the group a lot. What is your sense of that, of their understanding of what they are in for here, with all the expectation of the number 2 pick?
You don't know what you don't know. And the fact that he's coming in number 2 means that he has to be the savior. Much like Sam Darnold had to be the savior, just 3 seasons ago. He's going to have to come in. They have to do a better job in making sure that they protect him. It has to be all about Zach Wilson. Now, listen, I've been to 2 AFC championships with 2 rookie quarterbacks. One in Joe Flacco, the other in Mark Sanchez. They don't have that type of team around him. So they have to protect him from himself. They have to bring him along slowly and give him a little bit of the playbook. But you got to allow this kid to play fast and be able to hand the ball off. Because if you try and give him too much and he gets exposed, and you talk about his injury history, it could be a short run. And if this guy starts to lose his confidence, he's going to start seeing ghosts.
Yeah, the Jets have never, well, that's an expression that most people in New York right now know exactly what you mean and never want to hear again. For the record, in the common draft era, the Jets have never taken a quarterback this high. They took Joe Namath number 1 in 1965, but that was in the American Football League. So in the common draft era, Zach Wilson will be the highest draft pick they've ever used on a quarterback. Let's see where it goes. Meanwhile, with the draft 6 days away, yesterday on Twitter, we asked you to submit your draft questions for our brand new draft insider, Matt Miller, and for me, and we are delighted to be able to do those. And so, Matt, as always, thank you. And the first question, let's pop it up there on the screen if we can. The first question for us comes from Cuffy Von Cohort, who asks, everyone is talking about the Patriots trading up for a quarterback. Who is the first-round target if it's not a quarterback, and where could they add one later? Matt, what's the answer?
Yeah, Greeny, if it's not a quarterback, I think you have to look at that secondary. Going back to Bill Belichick's roots a little bit, I think J.C. Horn from South Carolina would be a great scheme fit here. Stephon Gilmore has been rumored the last season to be traded. We could see him playing, his last year in New England. So I think finding that next corner, and Horn at 6'2", he's the most physical corner in this class. Very good ball skills. He is the type of player I think would fit. Where could they find a quarterback outside of round 1? We've talked before, Greeny. Kyle Trask, Davis Mills, and Kellen Mond in round 2 are good players. They're just not quite ready to play in 2021.
Yeah, Mills is the one of those 3 that I like the best, but clearly is the least ready to play. If you're looking for another direction, I could see Belichick going at 15. Our research department tells me one of their primary needs is interior defensive line. You know how much Bill Belichick loves Nick Saban, Alabama players. Christian Barmore is someone whose name I'm hearing more and more closer to the top of this draft. He was the defensive MVP of the national championship game. He had 8 sacks from the interior of that defensive line last year. Christian Barmore from Philadelphia is a player that I could see Bill Belichick giving some consideration to at 15. I think he's going to go higher than most people are generally projecting to this point. All right, the next one is from Daniel Mill 12, and he asks, would the Broncos take Mac Jones if he is there at 9? Matt, what's the answer?
Oh, that is a tough one. I think probably so, but the thing with Mac Jones is he doesn't seem to fit the type that they have there, and a lot will depend on what their actual type is. What does this new regime under George Payton want at the quarterback position? John Elway definitely favored stronger armed players. We've talked before, Mac Jones has the least arm strength of the top 5, honestly, maybe of the top 8 quarterbacks in this class. So I do think they would because of his football IQ, his processing speed, what he does from the pocket, but I do think that would be a tough conversation they have to have on the clock.
Well, Matt, and I'd like to hear your reaction to this, because yesterday when I did a mock draft here for the program on this show and on my radio show, I forecast Denver to move up aggressively. That's the team I could see. Everyone's talking about Pittsburgh and Chicago and Washington and even New England. There's so much later in this draft. I could see the Broncos pinpointing one guy they want and going up to 4 to get him. Now, I would expect that to be maybe Justin Fields or Trey Lance, more than Mac Jones, who may go at 3. But I expect Denver to make an aggressive move, or at least I wouldn't be surprised if they make an aggressive move up for a quarterback. What do you think?
Yeah, I've been forecasting the same thing. In a year where we're all doing trades on our mock drafts, finally, I think Denver is one of those teams. You're right, everyone talks about New England, but going from 15 to 4 is very expensive, and Belichick might not want to give up that many draft picks. But I think for Denver to go from 9 to 4, that's really an intriguing situation for the Atlanta Falcons, even if they don't have to go that high. Going from 9 to 7, where the Detroit Lions pick, I think makes a lot of sense.